Alright, so let's talk about some games, and then I'm going to go to bed. This is the 10th Saturday of the week. 10th Saturday of the season, and a bunch of games have happened as normal. The interesting ones are North Carolina beating Florida State 35-11. That's not really that interesting. It's just more of the same for FSU. UCLA actually decided to win a game at Nebraska. Still the dumbest sort of move ever that any team could ever make, to move from a conference regional to expanding yourself to having to fly to like Pennsylvania to play a football game. Stupid, dumb, and a giant waste of money. Vanderbilt played Auburn and beat them by 10, 17-7. Vanderbilt's very much a team that if they can keep you below at least like 20 points, they will probably beat you, excluding the Alabama game. I don't know what was up with that, but seemingly they won that one. Auburn's a horrible football team, and let's see what happens next year. I think Hugh Freeze might be on the hot seat if he hasn't started out 5-0 next year. Stanford and NC State, once again, the dumbest decision to decide to move conferences. Stanford got blown out, as they should have, 59-28. Stanford only scored 7 points in each quarter. I hope those teams keep losing. As much as I'd like to see those teams win, I hope they keep losing so bad that they decide to, like, you know what, pack it up and leave. Because they do not belong in a Midwestern conference. Oklahoma decided to win. That's great. Minnesota hung on to beat Illinois at Illinois 25-17. Minnesota earlier in the year kind of just didn't have it in them to beat North Carolina. As you can see, North Carolina is only 5-4, so they're not amazing. And Minnesota is also just now 6-3. So Minnesota definitely could have beaten them, I think the first or second game of the year, but they didn't. Army beat Air Force 20-3. I think that's like the least amount of points I've seen Army score this year. I'm not going to scroll through their history right now, but Ole Miss beat Arkansas 63-31. I'm assuming Sam Pittman is out by the end of the year because you just really can't do that. Granted, Ole Miss is a much more talented roster than Arkansas. It's just that you can't. If I'm an athletic director or a fan of that team, I'm just like, I can't keep going through this because I guarantee you they're going to be at the same place next year. So yeah. Michigan State lost to Indiana 47-10. Indiana seemingly continuing their winning streak. Are still undefeated, 9-0 and 6-0 in the conference, so we'll see how that works out. Texas Tech decided to actually play a football game, and they beat Iowa State 23-22. That was no shit on Texas Tech. I just wanted to say that because it sounded neat. Texas Tech seemingly is now bowl eligible, so congratulations to them. Miami actually decided to actually play football the second half, so that I actually meant, because they were down before halftime, and then they decided to win. The two biggest games of the day were Ohio State at Penn State and Michigan at Oregon. To cover Ohio State at Penn State first, Penn State kind of had everything going for them, and then they just seemingly could only score 13 points, scoring 10 in the first quarter and 3 in the third quarter. It's not good at all. I'd be curious to see where James Franklin is by the end of the year. I think as long as he can go, it's obvious that Penn State's going to go into the playoff at some point. It's just how far can they go and how they lose the game. I think that's what's going to matter in terms of James Franklin finishing out his time at Penn State and possibly being there next year. In fact, he probably is going to be there next year because I don't really see any reason to fire him. But I also know reasons why you would fire him, because I don't really think Penn State's going to keep their continuation of winning if they get rid of him. Oregon at Michigan. Michigan's a terrible football team. It's really sad. I think it happens to like most teams where they win the title the first year and then all their great players leave for the NFL and then they're kind of left with what they got and then they're just like a whole shell of themselves. It probably doesn't help that your coach also left, but it happened, and it's something that's unfortunately has left Michigan to be 5-4 this year and Oregon to be 9-0. I kind of watched some of the game. I think Michigan played better defense, and I also think that the quarterback was a little bit better, but still really sad. A shootout for Mexico and New Mexico and Wyoming, 49-45. I didn't watch that game at all. I'm just looking at the score. I'm just like, ooh, that looked fun. My team, Florida, decided to lose against Georgia. I don't think they decided to. They were actually doing pretty good up until halftime. Then DJ Lagway got hurt, and it was kind of over. Well, actually, that's not even true because Florida was in it up until, I think, yeah, pretty much the fourth quarter. Because Florida decided to score a touchdown by running it in, and they got it, and they kicked a field goal, and it was tied 20-20 at like, I don't know, 10 minutes left or something. And then Georgia ran away with it. Florida's now on their third string quarterback, so I really hope that works out well, which usually never does. But I will say, I think that next week when they play Texas at Texas, it will be a completely different Florida team because he's going to have a whole new scheme set up. Will it work? I don't know. But I just do know that that's usually how it works for this Florida team. Because every week it's like the team kind of gets better, but like not super better, but just better than they were last week. And so I'm intrigued to see what Florida does at Texas. Sucks for Florida not being able to get it done. Sucks for DJ for getting hurt. I feel bad for all of it, but I'm also over it. I'm still pissed about that game I watched yesterday. It was a playoff game for a high school football team. And I'm just like, how did you... That coach... If he was a coach here, he would have been fired at the end of the game. Game's going on right now. USC is playing at Washington. Wisconsin is at Iowa. Louisville is at Clemson. I think Clemson is going to crush them. Rice and Navy. And Houston has just beat Kansas State 24-19. Houston has been pretty bad this year. They are now 4-5 and 3-3 in the Big 12, so good on them. Sucks for Kansas State, but that's how it works. And I would be and Rice might just score a TD, and I think Rice actually might beat Navy. As dumb as that sounds, I think it might happen. But anyway, that's all I got. Fresno State and Hawaii are playing. That game's going to be a shootout. And I can't wait to watch it. And I'm not going to watch it because I can't. Well, actually, I could if I wanted to go on YouTube and see it. But I'm not going to do that. All right. I'm going to go to bed because I got to get up tomorrow. And I'll see you. Have fun. And I'll see you next week.